Welcome to today's episode of Between Neens and Deens. My name is Nina, and I'm joined by my best friend, partner, and baby daddy, Dayon.
And together, we're a couple of 20-something-year-olds just trying to navigate this whole first-time parenting thing.
So we're laying it all out there and talking about all the things you wish your parents told you about love, sex, and happiness. So this is part 2 of our All About Cheating episodes. If you haven't listened to part 1, go listen to it. It's the episode right before this. And in that one, we talk about what it's like to be a cheater and like kind of the guilt that you go through. That was mostly Dayon's story.
Yeah.
And it was an important story to share. So in this one, we're going to be talking about what it's like to get cheated on. And we've both been in this situation. And it sucks. But the thing is, you hear about this type of story a lot. So we're going to take it one step further and talk about what the healing process was like. We both took very different routes after we got cheated on. Yeah.
My healing route was in part 1, basically.
Yeah, basically. The way that Dayon dealt with it was maybe not the best way to deal with it.
Definitely not.
You'll want to hear about it in the last episode that we did. So make sure you listen to that one first. And as always, I just want to give a quick little reminder that all of these episodes that we do, they're all based on our own personal experiences. And the reason why we share them is because we feel that they're valuable lessons that we learned that we want to share with you guys, but also because it's our truth and it's our story to share. And I know that, like, especially with the last episode, it's hard to listen to because there's a lot of pain, not only from Dayon's point of view as being the person that is essentially inflicting pain on somebody else, but there's a lot of pain obviously caused to that person. And so they are very sensitive subjects, but we kind of feel like the greater good of it is that we want to share a story so that you guys are able to relate to our stories and learn from them in the ways that we've been able to learn from them. So let's start with your story.
Yeah, so mine starts with my first love, my first girlfriend. This was like fresh out of high school. I started a relationship with a girl that I went to high school with. We dated for about 1.5 years, and I was going to college at the time. And when I finished college, I was like, wanted to pursue basketball. So I went to Serbia. It was an open-ended ticket, so it was like either I can be there for 6 months, or if I get signed to a team, like I would want to stay there.
And I feel like that's so hard for like a first relationship, long distance, and you're like, when do you even come back?
Yeah, I know, right? So I think there was a lot of insecurity on her part in regards to like, when I'm coming back, am I going to be sleeping with other girls while I'm there?
Did you guys talk about it?
We did, definitely, where I was like, I love you. I was like, I really thought that this girl was like I was like, I'm gonna marry her, all this stuff, right? So I was like, I can see her till the end, basically. Young love in the same time. When I got to Serbia too, I was like constantly sending her photos and just like letting her know that I was thinking about her. And then I noticed her started to get like distant. I actually asked her, I was like, so like, what's going on?
How long did it take between like when you had left and this happened?
I was there for like 1 month.
Okay.
And her responses were getting a lot shorter. And I was like really confused as to why. And I was like, what's going on? And I just threw a question out there, like, did you find somebody else? And she answered. She was like, yeah, I met somebody. And she didn't tell me that she slept with him, but she was like, yeah, I met someone that I was interested in. And then I was like, oh, well, I was like really upset. And like, I said some things in the heat of the moment. And then the next day she's like, yeah, I slept with him. And then I was like so hurt by that. And I knew at that point it was over. I was so hurt because I never thought she would do that to me. Probably the toughest breakup for me to get over because I was in another country. I couldn't even talk to her realistically, like couldn't have a face-to-face conversation really. The things that were said as well, and it was a lot.
Like an instant breakup at that point?
Yeah, she actually ended up like she's still with that other person that she did cheat on me with. But yeah, it was hard for me to get over, but I did forgive her when I came back from Serbia. And I think where I feel like her insecurities came into play is because she also told me that when I left for Serbia, her mom was like, oh, how long is he there for? And she's like, oh, at least like 6 months. And her mom immediately said, oh, he's going to find like a Serbian wife. And then I guess
it's crazy how like people can say stuff like that and it really gets into your head.
Right? Yeah. Well, especially like when it's your parents too, right? And
when you're that young too.
When you're that young, yeah. So when she heard that, she started like kind of believing that. And as much as I would try and convince her otherwise, she wouldn't believe it. So I
feel like that situation is kind of like where you kind of want to hurt somebody before they hurt you, and it's like they don't have the opportunity to.
That is actually what she told me. She's like, really? I kind of wanted like, she's like, I felt like you were going to cheat on me and I just wanted to beat you to the punch.
That's so sad.
I know, right?
Yeah, but with first love, it's like all of this is so new, so you don't really know kind of what you should do. I feel like love at that point is kind of a competition. It's like even when like who's gonna say I love you first, like I don't want to put my emotions out there because then I might get rejected. Like it's like that fear of rejection, even though you're in a relationship and you're in love, like that shouldn't exist, but I feel like with your first love, like that definitely does happen because it's new.
There's a lot more like little mental games I feel when you're young too, right?
Oh yeah.
Because there's like certain things you're like uncertain about, so then
and you
like,
just also don't know that much about yourself either. Like I think that the older that you get, and if you do kind of put in the work to understand who you are in and out of a relationship, then there's a lot more clarity. But with your first love, it's kind of just like an overwhelming, it's just so much emotion that is like, how do you share that with another person? You're essentially both going through this like wild roller coaster at the same time, and you might not always be on the same page.
So now I want to hear about your situation, because it is quite different from mine. It wasn't your first love.
It was not my first love. Like, my first love was in high school. He was my first boyfriend. To my knowledge, we didn't cheat on each other, but the breakup was very messy. So, I mean, there is that. But between my first love and my second love, I think was about like 3 years. So I spent that time dating other people, and I was in college and just learning a lot about myself. And when I did fall in love for the second time, this guy was a lot older than I was. So at that point, I think I was like 20 and he was 29. So, I mean, already, like, there are so many factors that kind of come into play when you're thinking about dating somebody a lot older. And this is the first guy that I dated that was a lot older. So I was like, oh, he's such an adult. Like, I've been fucking with all these boys, and like, this guy is gonna like properly, you know, like communicate and like take care of me and like all of these things. I didn't even realize that I associated all these things with age when I really shouldn't have. We dated for a couple of months. We were actually working together. That's how we met. And we spent a lot of time together, just like at work, because it was during the summer. I was like working all the time. So this is the first time I entered a relationship where there was so much like sexual tension, and like I just thought this was part of growing up, and I thought this is what relationships would be like. And to be fair, like looking back, we really didn't communicate all that much. We told each other that we were interested in each other, and we would openly be able to talk about sex. But past that, there were a lot of things looking back now that I feel like I didn't really know about him, and it was lacking intimacy in a lot of other realms besides physical. So I was actually the first person to say I love you, and actually in all of my relationships, I'm always the person to say I love you first. But basically I said it, and he shared that that's the way that he felt about me. And so I think in my mind, I just assumed that because we both love each other, there are just things that you wouldn't do to each other. You know, like we'd had conversations about, oh, like, are you sleeping with other people? No, I'm not. And so in my mind, we were exclusive, we were in love, but he was very adamant about not calling each other boyfriend and girlfriend.
Was that a red flag for you?
I mean, there were so many red flags. Like now that I look back on it, there were so many. And I think that definitely was one of them. But at that time, he was planning on like moving away. I understood it because...
You like justified it.
Yeah, because I was like, you're moving away, you don't want to get attached. Like, you didn't expect this to happen, you know? Like, he was going to leave within like a month or two. Every single time that he would pull away, or that he would be kind of cold to me, which was happening a lot in kind of the last couple months that we were together, I would excuse it with, oh, well, he's leaving, it's very confusing for him. I just made a lot of excuses for him without actually talking to him about it. And I didn't realize that I was doing that. And I gave him the benefit of the doubt so many times. But so many times in our time together, I felt like I was going crazy.
How long were you guys together for?
We were together for only a couple of months. It was very like whirlwind kind of. Like I had known him for quite a while because we worked together. But we didn't start dating. Actually, we didn't even really
Seeing each other?
Yeah, we like didn't start like sleeping together because this was a very different relationship for me. Like he did actually take me on dates, and they were all like whirlwind, like super expensive dinners. We would cab everywhere, which was like so great for me because I was like always busing everywhere as a college student. He like took me on a boat this one time. Like it was crazy. Like it was just so different. And
it's
I think
exciting.
Yeah, it was really exciting, and I just got so caught up in it. It got to a point where I really did feel like he was gaslighting me, but in that moment, I was so in it that I couldn't see it. And I was like, I'm not a crazy person, but you are making me crazy. Like, all of my friends were like, Nina, like, are you okay? Because I literally, like, couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, like, I couldn't be a normal person because he would withdraw himself and then make it seem like, no, I'm not. Like, everything's fine. Like, no, like, everything's perfectly fine between us. You have nothing to worry about. But you're clearly doing things that are different, and you're treating me differently than you did before. And, like, I think that's what really hurt the most, is that you kind of know when somebody is in love with you and the way that they treat you. And then when it shifts, then now you know what it feels like when they don't love you.
You're
and
left kind of confused as to why.
Yeah, and it's like, for him to tell me, like, no, you're making all of that up in your head, like, you're being crazy, like, that was so confusing for me, and it was the first time that it had happened, and so I had a feeling that something was going on, but I really didn't know what it was, and it got to a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore because you're constantly lying to me, you're not being honest with me, I'm trying to communicate with you, but you're not having it. And so actual last straw was that I found out through another friend that he said that he hadn't slept with somebody that like was a good friend of his, and then I found out that they actually had slept together, and that was like, that's very minor, but for me I was like, you have lied to me about that, and so what else have you lied to me about? And that was the last straw, and I was like, okay, no, I'm ending this. And I was like, I can't be made to feel this way when I know that I'm not this type of person. And so for me, it was really painful to walk away from it because he was somebody that I loved. He was somebody that I cared about. And like, I realized that I haven't gotten to the cheating part yet, but that's the thing. So I ended it. And as much as it hurt, I did also feel a lot of relief because I was like, you like stood up for whatever you believe in, and you knew that something didn't feel right and you walked away. And it wasn't until about a week or so later, through a huge course of events, but I ended up finding out that he was actually sleeping with his roommate the entire time that we were together. And him and his roommate had a lot of history, and so it made me, like, I was really like the other woman in the situation, which was very weird for me because I was like, but we were in love.
You should never be a side piece.
Yeah, but...
It should always be a main thing.
But that's the thing, is when I found out, it honestly felt like there was so much more clarity and even more relief than it was painful, because I knew that something was wrong. Like, the overwhelming feeling was that I was so proud of myself for being able to identify, like, I'm not going to stand for this. I'm not going to allow somebody to make me feel this way. And so I'm going to walk away. And I was just so proud about the fact that I was able to walk away before I even had all the facts. You know, like, I followed my gut, and like, that experience was so overwhelmingly positive for me. Like, there was so much hurt. And I, like, don't get me wrong, like, I cried so much, and I actually made a YouTube video. I saw
that, yeah. I saw that in the video. I was like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
You were really hurt.
I mean, that's, like, one of the earliest videos that I've made, and it was how to get over a breakup, and it was that specific breakup. And, like, the thing is, you know, like, with a breakup, you have good days and you have bad days, and in the middle of it is when I found out that he was sleeping with his roommate, and it really did help me get over it a lot faster than I think I would have if I just was left with a lot of questions.
So do you feel that he was giving you kind of these reasons for you to like run away, or like reasons for you to be concerned? Because
I think so, because the way that I found out was actually because me and his roommate had an opportunity, and he presented that opportunity for us to basically talk to each other.
So it's like almost like he wanted you to know.
No, I think he did 100%. And like, when I did text him afterwards, and like, we obviously did talk about it, like, after I found out, he was basically saying that he, one, didn't really feel like he did anything wrong, which was very weird, but also that he wanted me to know, and he just like didn't really know how to tell me. And I don't know, it was also kind of weird because the way that he phrased it was almost as if he like had the upper hand because he was manipulating the situation so that I would do something that he would want me to do by finding out. And I was like, this is just stop. Just stop, because it's over, and like, you do not have the upper hand in any of this. But yeah, no, I definitely do think that he felt really guilty. And it's interesting because when I did notice the shift in his behavior was after we went on a trip together, and before we went on the trip and during the trip, I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like, we're connecting so well. And I just imagined that when we got back to being in Vancouver, that everything would be even better than it was before because we went on this amazing trip together. But that's actually when he started drawing away from me. So I was like, this doesn't make any sense because we had an amazing time, and why are you being more cold to me? Once I found out that he was cheating on me the whole time, or I mean, like, cheating on both of us, because
if you said that you felt like you were the side piece,
yeah, because
right?
they had a longer history than I did.
So he's like emotionally cheating on both of you.
But he told her, yeah, because it's his roommate, he basically told her that, oh, like, we're like a little family, and like, she knew that he was sleeping with other people, but she was like, I don't want you to tell me who it is. And then when she found out that it was me and we actually did know each other, that was like really painful for her to reconcile with. And I think a big part of why I felt better about walking away was also because I was like, it feels like their story. Like, they had a longer history than I did, and I was like, girl, you need to walk away because, like, this behavior is not okay. And, like, the fact that he would lie to you and hurt you like this, like, her hurt was so much more than mine was because she had known him for so much longer. She had invested so much in him, and it was really painful to kind of see it from all the different angles. And he did feel a lot of guilt, and that's why after he went on the trip with me and he lied to her about who he was going on this trip with and all these things, he felt so guilty that's why he started to withdraw from me. And so it made a lot of sense after I got all the facts. I was like, okay, like, I wasn't crazy, and that was like the biggest, like, most profound thing for me. And yeah, I mean, obviously it did really hurt, but at the end, like, I really just felt like everybody in this situation deserved so much better that it's like I would never want to go back to that situation. And so, like, I could mourn the fact that we had a connection and that I did love him, but me crying about it and me being upset about it was never like any indication of I want to go back there, because I never wanted to go back there. Kind of similar to your experience with cheating, like, I think he really just wanted to have his cake and eat it too. Like, he wanted to have both of us in his life, and he really valued her and his relationship with her, knowing that he, like, didn't want her to be his girlfriend or his everything. So he would tell her, like, I love you and we're a little family and, like, we live together and it's, like, so great, but I'm gonna go sleep with these other people. And she was okay with that. But then also, like, me on the flip side being the other person, like, I was an escape for him. I really, really was. Because while we were together, he would tell me, like, oh, like, she's being so, like, his roommate is being so annoying, like, she keeps texting me, like, all these things. So at that point I was just like, oh, like, it's just his roommate is just really needy, whatever.
Yeah. Which is understandable too, because like roommates can be really upsetting.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that I think he was going through a phase in which he was just feeling very distant from her and, like, wanting to push her away. And so then that's why I was an escape for him. And then when he realized what he had gotten into with having two people being in love with him, like, you know what? He actually proposed that we have a threesome on his birthday.
Oh, my days.
Oh my god, the fact that, guys, there were so many red flags. There were so many red flags. His birthday was when we were still together, and he proposed that we had a threesome, and I was so taken aback by it, and I was, like, so put off because
with
I was
his
like,
roommate?
Yeah, with his roommate. And I was like, why with your roommate? Also, no. Like,
but also at this point now, knowing what you know now, like, the word roommate to him was actually girlfriend.
It was just, yeah, there were so many red flags, and I should have walked away. But that's the thing, guys. Like, if you date somebody that's older, especially your first person, like, don't attribute all these great things to them, because in the end, like, he was more of a fuckboy, and he hurt me way more than any of the guys that I messed with that were my age. And it's like, I expected him to be grown, and I expected him to be an adult, but age really doesn't define. No,
even if they're the same age as you, they could still be like, because a fuckboy is a fuckboy regardless of the age.
You can find somebody that's 20 that's way more grown and mature than somebody that's 30, because some people never grow up. I had to learn that the hard way.
Yeah, I've seen that just from working at a nightclub. Like, even 40-year-old men, like, they don't got their shit together. They might have money, but they don't got their shit together.
Yeah. And I guess now we can talk about how we coped with it, because they were very different.
Yeah.
Very different ways of coping.
100%. I feel bad for all the girls that I did end up, like, meeting or talking to after this relationship, because for, like, a long period of time I only talked about, like, my first love. Like, I was constantly talking about her. Every girl that I met after that was, like, low-key.
Were you always comparing them?
No, they were, like, low-key my therapist. Like, where, like, I'd be talking about this stuff and, like, trying to get their opinions on it, but it's like it came to a point where they were just like, can you just please stop? And now it's so cringy, like, just thinking back, like, how much I did talk about it. And to where one girl called me out and she was like, I don't think you're over her. And I was like, I am. Like, you know, like, hella in denial. Like, I'm over it, but I don't think I was at that point.
Just because you don't want to be with them anymore doesn't mean that you're over it. Like, getting over somebody is such a long process. Yeah. Because even if you hate them, you're not over them. You're still, like, spending energy and emotion on this person, on this situation. Yeah.
The tough thing, too, was at that time, because, like, I never expected this person to cheat on me, I started looking to other people to, like, understand, like, why people cheat and, like, why. So, like, a lot of my friends too were cheating on their girlfriends, and that was something that I never thought that I would do. So I think, like, listening to them and their perspectives and, like, why they do that, also, like, through a lot of hip-hop music I was listening to, it seemed like to normalize cheating as well. And because someone I never expected to cheat on me cheated on me, I kind of found a way to normalize it. So going into the next relationships, which we talked about in the first part of cheating, was that I didn't think that there was too much wrong with it. I felt like it was something that was normal and that people just do.
Did that help you feel less pain about
getting cheated on?
Yeah, because like if it's normal for you, then does that mean that, okay, like maybe I shouldn't be this upset by it because it's normal?
A part of it did help because, I don't know, I felt like this new perspective, and I thought that it was normal and I thought that it was good, and amongst my peers, like I was getting a lot of respect, which is very weird. You know,
for getting cheated on?
No, for cheating on my current girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
Because like I don't know, for some reason, like at that current time, like the peers that I had around me, like it was more about like, yo, you get so many girls, and that was like all it was about. And even though like I had someone I really cared for and loved, I was still able to like sleep with other girls and like have them be aware that I'm in a relationship and I'm not committed to you. But then like I guess it's kind of like a power thing as well. But then as the guilt like crept up on me in the second relationship that I was cheating on, when that guilt crept up on me, that's when I realized like none of that was worth it. So I feel like the way that I coped with that was poor. Yeah.
1 out of 10.
Yeah,
0 out of 10.
Because like what I was going through and the pain that I was feeling, I was doing to other people. It was stupid. It was definitely like not really well thought out on my part. And I think instead of trying to normalize cheating and just like giving that pain back to other people, I should have found a better way to cope with it. Maybe I should have started a YouTube channel.
That's what I did.
So I saw you did the YouTube video, and then what else? What are other coping mechanisms that help you?
I mean, if you watch that video, I spent the first couple days just crying in my bed, like just crying so much.
I did that as well.
Yeah, I mean, you have to get it out. You like can't. I think if you bury it, then it's gonna be so much more painful because it's gonna come out eventually. So it's either it comes out now or it comes out later, and you can't really control when it comes out later. So I spent a lot of time crying, and my friends were really great. They actually bought me a friendship plant, which was so cute. They like brought a plant to my house. And I was like, oh my god, is this a breakup plant? They're like, it's a friendship plant.
Oh, that is the cutest.
And they were a really great support system because they just allowed me to be upset and allowed me to be sad.
Shout out Tani, shout out Kate.
Yeah.
Shout out Josie.
I think ultimately what really helped was, one, actually having like a mantra, and my mantra was always a song. So this isn't just like when you get cheated on, this is like any breakup or any like really, really low point in my life. I will blast one song on repeat for so long. Like after my first breakup, well, so I've had different ones. So after my first breakup, to get over that, I literally listened to the same song for months. Like earphones in, just the same song. On loop. And that was Begging for Thread, the remix. I don't know. I forget who does it, but that was the song for whatever reason. And then with being cheated on, I found the song Bomo, B-O-M-O. Highly suggest that you guys listen to it. But it's by Tatiana Manoes. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But in that song, Bomo essentially stands for Better on My Own. And
that's cute.
Yeah, it's super cute. It's a really cute song. And it's not incredibly bitter or anything like that. But it just talks about how being in a relationship and deciding to leave or not being in the relationship anymore is just, you know, like sometimes it's a better choice for you. And I think like that was kind of the first time that I really framed a breakup in that way, where it was like, this is actually way better for me to be out of this relationship than to be in it. So that song really helped. And I realized that I also really like to invest a lot of energy into finding myself after I get out of a breakup. And so I was doing a lot of YouTube. So that was like when me and Kate did our first ever thrift haul on YouTube. That was actually like within that first 30-day period of going through a breakup. And I just spent a lot of energy being like, okay, you were in this relationship where you felt like you lost yourself, so let's find yourself again. And that really, really helped me come out of it a lot stronger. And I didn't blame myself for like what happened, because I understood that everything that happened was his choice. And me and the other girl, we were just dragged along for the ride. And again, like I always came back to the fact that I was able to listen to my gut, walk away, and understand this is my value and I'm not going to compromise that. And I think that was so strong and so powerful for me. Like, even if you don't end up being in a situation like that, even if you're kind of forced into like being in a breakup because someone cheats on you, still knowing that like you deciding to separate yourself from that situation and knowing that you deserve better, like that is so powerful.
Yeah, so going back to actually music, the one that you said reminds me a lot of one that I listen to a lot on repeat. And actually with every breakup I listen to this song. It's Still Looking by Dom Kennedy. And it like kind of gives me like that hopeful like look of like, oh, I'm still looking. Like that one wasn't the one, but I'm still looking, I'll find her. And it's like kind of helped me know that like there's more people out there, and it's like I shouldn't fixate on this one that didn't work out. And if I just keep looking, I'll find it. So yeah, that song really helped me. And then I also want to mention about how, so for instance, for me, it took a long time to actually get over it. So like when I talk about like when into my next relationships and I started cheating and stuff, there was many phases to me actually getting over the breakup. So for instance, we dated for 1.5 years, and I think it took me 2 years to fully get over it. And it's kind of insane to think that it took that long, but that was my process. For instance, like how you had your friends to help you and stuff. For me, I was in Serbia, so I actually had my mom and my grandma, and they actually helped me so much. Cause
Really?
like I was crying in bed so much, and like my grandma just like would sit by me, and she just like shared her words and her like perspective on things, and it was really helpful. But I mean, I was hurting so much, it was crazy. But I literally stayed in bed for weeks just crying and like not fully understanding, and then like also texting her stuff and like trying to get like more answers that ended up probably hurting me even more.
Did you ever find yourself getting into a place where you would blame yourself, or you would compare yourself to the other person that she cheated on you with?
I couldn't help but get self-conscious, and I think there was a lot of things where I was like, is he better than me? Like, what does he do better than me? And I would just like be like constantly asking her these questions that I think
you don't
like,
want the answer.
You don't want the answer to, because like, I mean, her answer was always like, he's different. Like that's all it was. And I was just like constantly just like digging for more answers, and all she really, and I respect her for saying that, she just kept saying he's different. And, like, not to say that he's better or worse than me or anything. It's just, it was different.
But that's the thing, is that when you start asking questions like that, like, it's just gonna cause you pain. Because, like, the thing is, like, at the end of the day, you should never have to or feel like you have to change yourself for somebody else. And, like, when you start asking, like, oh, like, what can I do better? Like, oh, like, should I have, I don't know, texted you more? Like, showed you that I loved you more? Like, all these things. It's never about you, and it's never your fault. I mean,
it took me a while to realize, so horrible to say, but I realized that after cheating on people. And then I realized that it's not about them, it's about me. It kind of brought clarity in a really weird roundabout way, that she only cheated on me because of her own insecurities as well, because of like of her fear, right? And it had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Because I tried as much as I can to like have her be secure in our relationship and have her know that I would never cheat on her, but yet
there's only so much you can do.
There's only so much you can do, because it's not up to me.
Yeah.
It's not me. So, and I realized that because I ended up hurting other people, and it wasn't anything that they could have done. It was just me.
And I think like once you understand that, it makes it a lot easier to not be hard on yourself, because you shouldn't. And I definitely went through that phase where with her roommate, my instant reaction was just like, we're in this together, like he did us both dirty. But there definitely were times where it crossed my mind where I was like, why was I not enough? Like, why couldn't you leave her and like be with me? And then I would catch myself and be like, I don't even want him, so
That'd go.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't help but compare yourself to the other person and wonder what you could have done differently, like why you weren't worthy of all of that love, you know? Like, why did he need somebody else? It's hard, like, you're gonna go through all those phases, and I think you have to allow yourself to. But the process of beginning to pick yourself back up again was very different for the both of us. But for me, like, what really did help was tapping into who I was again. Because I was like, you lost that, and somebody else made you feel very vulnerable. And, I mean, he was gaslighting me. And so I was really confused as to what my perception of reality was, like what is real and what isn't. And so I had to refine all of that for myself, and going through that process and starting my YouTube and like having that take off, like all of that was like, it's crazy. People always ask me like, how did you like come about like starting your YouTube? And to be fair, I had it beforehand. I just like really didn't do anything with it. And it really was being in a situation where I was like, you need to find yourself. You need to do what it is that you love, like, and just reclaim that part of yourself. And that's what really pushed me to start this whole YouTube social media career. And it's so crazy because it came out of like a really bad breakup, essentially. But I think it took me a lot less time than I really anticipated to get over it. Like with my first breakup, there was no cheating involved, but it did take me 2 years to really fully get over it. Whereas with this one, I would still be angry about it if somebody talked to me about it. So in total, it probably was like a year and a half. But after like 30 days, I really felt like, okay, like I'm good. I moved on. Like that first initial phase happened so quickly, which I wasn't expecting at all.
So for me, I was in Serbia, and I got like, so once I slept with the first girl, I kind of like thought I was over it, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then I found myself like talking about her to her, and then I was like, oh. And then like,
just kidding.
Yeah, but I think it was like more about like me gaining my self-confidence back, and that's through like hitting on girls and like going to the clubs with the boys and stuff, and like trying to get
going
that part
out,
of me
meeting
back.
new people. Meeting new people really, really does help too.
It definitely helped a lot to meet new people, and there's something new that you can learn from each person, which was like really, really nice. And I felt like even if I knew that person wasn't the one for me, like I knew that I would learn something valuable, and I felt like I'm a big believer in fate, and I feel like everything that happens in your life is for a reason. Everyone is placed in your life for a reason, and even if it doesn't work out, there's something valuable to be learned in each experience. So.
That's very true, actually. After I got cheated on, coming out of this whole situation really solidified for me that I personally believe that you can have multiple soulmates in your life, and they can be friends, they can be romantic people that come in and out of your life, and some stay longer and some stay for not so long. But yeah, like that you learn something from every person that walks in your life. And so that really allowed me to let go a lot easier, because even though he caused me pain, he taught me so much about myself, about relationships, about everything. And so it's hard. It's because it's like I couldn't really be that upset with him because I grew so much from that situation, and I did love him. And like I'm not gonna look back and be like, oh yeah, no, like I didn't. Like I did. I think that if I didn't have that situation, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And so it's almost like, I think after having a situation like that, it's almost as if I welcome hurt and I welcome pain. Like I want to welcome every spectrum and every emotion that you can possibly go through, because it teaches you so much.
100%.
And like, yeah, with soulmates, it's like he definitely was one of them. Like we obviously were attracted to each other for a reason, but he just wasn't meant to stay in my life for a long time. He was meant to teach me something about myself, and he did that. And
that's a great outlook, because like, yeah, even for me, when I came back from Serbia and I came back to grab my things from the first girlfriend that cheated on me, I straight up just came in and I told her, like, I forgive you. Like, I'm actually so grateful for everything that happened. I learned so much, because I met a lot of people. I had great experiences, which I felt like I wouldn't be able to do if I was like in a long distance relationship with her, because I think there would be a lot of guilt, a lot of like communication, a lot of like, I miss you and I just want to come home. Whereas like, because she cheated on me, because we ended it, I felt more like, okay, I can give my all to like playing basketball, because if I stay, I won't feel guilty, because like I'm alone, like I'm in this for myself. So it sucks to get cheated on, but all that stuff did happen for a reason, you know?
There's always a silver lining.
There is, yeah. There's always, every cloud has a silver lining.
Every cloud,
as
that
Nina
is
loves to say.
That is also when I decided that's what I want to get tattooed on myself.
Oh, no. Don't tell my mom. Don't tell my mom. But yeah, so I think now's a good time for us to move into some questions that were asked on our Instagram.
Yes. So the first question that we have is, how do you deal with trust issues in your next relationship and the fear of being cheated on in your next relationship?
Wow, see, that's tough, because my mind was like, the trauma of her telling me that I just wanted to beat you to the punch maybe carried on into my next relationship, because that's kind of what I did. So
don't deal with it the way that
don't deal with it the way that I dealt with it, because that could be also like trust issues still. So
that
me
is
cheating,
100% still trust issues.
Yeah, so me cheating on the person that I loved was as a trust issue, and how I dealt with it, which is horrible, because they didn't cheat on me. I was just being a dickhead. And I actually have the ick. Like, after we recorded the first part, I had such the ick on myself.
Oh, man. For, like, a couple days. I mean, it always happens, but it was pretty heavy this time.
Man, I'm, like, just so disgusted by my actions. And, like, as I start talking about it, I, like, relive all those things that I did. And being in a position that I am now, like, really seeing it in my own head, I was just, like, so disgusted by it. So I was like, how could I have done all of that?
So do you feel like now that you've moved on from that you don't have trust issues and that you don't have a fear that you would be cheated on in your relationship? Like, how do you feel secure now?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just communication. Just, like, really talking about it and just trust. It's plain and simple, just trusting the other person.
You just have to learn to trust again.
That's all it comes down to, yeah. Just learning to trust again. And
I think it kind of goes hand in hand with, like, meeting more people, because when I started to meet more people, I was like, everyone is different, you know? Like, just because I date another 29-year-old doesn't mean they're going to cheat on me, you know? Like, and I think that when you are not dating as much and you have quite limited experience, then it gets very fearful to be like, oh, you're gonna be just like the last one, you know? But like,
that's a great point.
Yeah, it's like I met so many people that I was like, everyone's so different. Like, you can't, like, just because you look like my ex, or like just because you like have similar behaviors or you're the same age, like doesn't mean you're gonna treat me the same way. And you
like
just
that
have
Usher
to learn.
Song.
Yeah, like,
you remind me of a girl that I once knew. No.
But that's the thing, you just have to learn to trust again. And as much as it sucks and it hurts and it's a painful process, like, there isn't anything else you can do, because like we were saying, like, you can be in the most secure relationship, your partner could be amazing, and they, like, you literally have no reason to not trust them, but you still might not.
Like,
and
my
that's
last
just
relationship.
Yeah, like, that's just on you. You have to be able to trust again, and that's something that you have to nurture within yourself, and understand that not everybody is going to hurt you like that, and if they do, walk away. And I think for me, like, that's why I am kind of like cut and dry about it. I know that I mentioned in the last episode that like emotional cheating would be more painful than physical cheating, but even if you did either of those things, I think that because of what I went through, I would be very like, nope, that's not what I deserve. I'm walking away. You just have to be able to trust up until that point. Like, trust until they give you reason to doubt them. But do look after the red flags.
Do look, yeah, no.
If they're presenting the same red flags.
Yeah, 100%. But like, and if there are concerns, like, express that, communicate that, and then work around that. I don't think snooping through the phone is a way to build trust, because that actually just like adds to your like insecurities. I really think it's just like transparent communication. Yeah.
I think like for me, it was just, I very easily went back into trusting people, and I am just a very trusting person in general, and I made it very clear to myself that this will not change who I am. And that was also tied in with the whole like him making me forget who I was like, I'm not going to compromise who I am. I'm not going to let this break me. I'm not going to let this make me a really skeptical, like untrustworthy like person. I don't want to be that, and I will not allow him the power to change me into that person. And I love the fact that I'm very trusting, but the thing is, like, it made me very smart to see like, okay, what are the red flags, and if you see them, listen to your gut and walk away. And I think having the confidence in myself to know that if I was put in that situation, I could do it again, was very powerful for me. But I was like, I'm not going to shut down and not let people back in, because that's a part of me that I really love about myself. And so yeah, for me, like, I really was just like, I don't want to change that about myself. Like, you can trust people, but be very wary and walk away when it's not right. And that way you still have the upper hand.
Yeah, I like how you said, like, not giving the other person the power to change you.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Because like, it's important to stay yourself. And I feel like if you still have trust issues based on what somebody else did to you, like, that could be that you're just not fully over the situation, and there's some other things you might need to consider, because taking that type of baggage into your next relationship doesn't help it. Like, kind of hinders the relationship, kind of just puts pressure on it that is unneeded, I feel.
Well, it's hard because it's like, if you go into your next relationship where, you know, like, it's fine and dandy, they're not giving you any reason to not trust them, but you automatically don't trust them just based on your past experiences, like, that's not fair to the other person, and already, like, it sets a precedent. And I mean, it's also like, trust isn't just in romantic relationships. Like, having trust issues can exist in your friendships, in your family relationships. So if you do have really, really aggressive trust issues and you have walls up, like, you might want to look at all the other relationships in your life, and maybe if it's stemming from something else. And it is something that you just do have to work on, and it takes time. It takes a lot of time 100%. And a lot of like communication with yourself to be able to break down those walls.
For some reason, I keep thinking about a box of tissues that say trust tissues on it. I think that'd be so sick. So yeah, like, even with trust issues, there are some moments in our relationship where trust issues do come out. So
yeah,
that's
I think
kind
just
of
like, because me knowing your history and what you were capable of doing, like, I know that you've grown and changed a lot from that time in your life, but just the fact that you were capable of cheating on somebody that you loved, it definitely, sometimes when I do see behaviors where I'm like, could this develop into something more? Could this develop into him actually taking action and cheating on me? Then that's when I get really scared. Yeah. And it probably does also stem from the fact that, I mean, obviously, like, I was cheated on, so I'm very well aware that, like, people are capable of that, even if they love you. I would say that I don't generally have trust issues in our relationship, but it's just when every now and then you might be having a prolonged conversation with somebody, you know, via DMs or something. Like, and I know that it's innocent and usually it's like people that you're connecting with through creativity and stuff like that. But every now and then I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. But I am very vocal about
which is important.
Yeah, like I'm not just like I'm gonna sit here and just mull over it and be upset. Like I made that mistake in like July, August of last year, and I did tell you about it, but then we kind of brushed through it so quickly that I didn't really get to share how it really made me feel. And then it ended up being an issue for months to come, and it really wasn't until a total of about 4 months that we really hashed it out. And it was like me making a bed frame and being so angry, and you were like, let me help you, and I was like, no,
don't touch me.
But like it manifested itself in ways that I couldn't control, like and that's the thing, is I kept telling myself like, no, it's fine, we talked about it, it's fine. But then it was still there. And so then it came out in really ugly ways a lot later. And so even though I'm very vocal about communicating, like, this doesn't make me happy, I don't like this, I needed to be even more communicative and tell you like, okay, we need to sit down and actually talk about this and hash it all the way out, because it's not going to go away.
Yeah.
And like now I'm a lot better at being like, yeah, no, I'm going to shut that down like right now, because I know, like from our experience, I know that it's not going to go away. And I didn't enjoy that at all, because a couple of those months were kind of like the worst months that we've had in our relationship.
Rough for sure. Because like we really had to talk about everything, and it was really real when you even kind of said that if this continues, like, you will leave, because it is.
It got to a point where I was like, I'm going to leave, because I was like, I'm not standing up for this.
Yeah. And like I just have to respect that, because like at the moment of time, like I didn't realize like what I was doing wrong, because my intent was different, but I didn't realize how my intentions were being misconstrued in the way that you saw it, and I needed to respect that. And I think when you initially brought it up to me, I didn't fully like take it all in. And then I added to the situation.
Well, you just like making excuses. And I'm like, I know you better than that. Yeah. And I know that whenever
I get defensive.
Yeah, you get really defensive. And I'm very good at knowing what your true intentions are, and when you're saying things just because you feel like you're being attacked. And I think that was also a big part of our issue too, that we had to work through, was me being able to present a conversation and you not feel attacked. And it's just a defense mechanism.
Well, yeah, I got to protect myself.
Yeah,
you know?
But that's the thing, is it doesn't
help to the situation. Yeah,
it doesn't help, because we're not having an honest conversation.
Yeah, at that point. When I start feeling attacked, it's hard for us to have a genuine, like, actually solving a situation. Yeah, it's more of like me just defending myself, and then we get nowhere.
Yeah, we get nowhere with that.
So I mean, how do we bring this back to like about trust issues? I think like it was all communication for us. Like it was just about talking about it.
Like so much communication.
Shedding light to it. Yeah, and it wasn't easy. Definitely is never. Like, don't just expect that, like, oh, if we talk about it, it's over and it's done and it's easy. It's really not. There's a lot that goes into it, but...
Well, that's the thing, is that my default setting is not to have trust issues. In general, like, the majority of our relationship, it's great. Like, I don't ever think that you would do anything to hurt me or cheat on me, whatever, but it's only when I see red flags. And that's when I, like, find that it's really important that you speak up, because it either continues because your partner is unaware of how it's affecting you, and if it does continue even after you have the conversation, that's when I would have walked away. Like, if he was unable to see where I was coming from and be like, well, I don't think I need to change my behavior, and continue engaging in conversations that he knows he shouldn't be,
sometimes like with us having those type of conversations in like in a relationship, it can bring out like other deep-rooted things as to like maybe why I was acting or your partner was acting in that way.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is really trying to listen to your partner.
That's the best, when you can have that real transparency where it's like you're not afraid to tell the other person how you feeling, and the other person is there to completely listen, and vice versa, and be able to like offer that for each other.
It's more about communicating to understand more than trying to be understood. And I think that's what usually when you're having like arguments and conversations like that, like you're just trying to be understood because you don't feel understood. It makes it really hard for you to understand the other person. And I think like...
And that goes with everything. Like, even with friendships and stuff, like...
It's a good life lesson to learn.
Yeah, when you're fighting to be understood, it's not worth it. Because there's always people that just won't understand you, and there's always situations where you won't be understood fully, and you just gotta like move on.
So yeah,
But,
I mean, the main takeaway from this is like, don't have default trust issues.
Yeah.
But 100% when something is being triggered or if somebody is presenting red flags to you, communicate it. If that person is unwilling to budge on like how they feel about things and listen to you, then that's when you might want to consider walking away.
Yeah. Because like, yeah, don't bring the past too much into situations. Don't bring your past or like the past within our relationship. Like, it's best to just...
Once you hash it out, leave it at that.
Exactly, yeah. So that's all I can really say on that.
So the next question is, how do you rebuild the relationship after cheating and convince your family that it's a good choice for you?
Oh, like getting back together with the person that cheated on you?
Like, I guess this person got cheated on and they're deciding to work through it. And obviously your family wants what's best for you, so they're probably like, you should leave. But
what that makes me think of is Beyonce talking to Solange about it. Because like Solange beat up Jay-Z in the elevator because he was a cheater. And then she made lemonade. So how does she get through it?
I mean, that's the thing, is that it's possible. Like, we talked about this in the last episode too. Like, it's possible to work through it and there's no right or wrong. Like, that's why sometimes people DM me with like their relationship issues. And I'm like, I don't really know how to give you advice because like, you're telling me all these things, but I don't know the nuances of your relationship. Nobody, not even your friends, your family, even if they've been through it with you, nobody knows the nuances of your relationship besides the two of you. I think that if it didn't happen in conjunction with it also being like an abusive relationship, like if this person did it to intentionally hurt you, or if there's also like other abusive behaviors at play, in that situation, I would say probably walk away because there's a lot of other issues here. But I think that in a situation where, you know, like maybe it just happened one time, that's something that you can work through, and it's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard. But I think if the two of you want to work through that and believe that you can come out of it stronger, then like, why not? I think that when it comes to family, it's so hard because I'm really just the type of person where I'm like, I don't care what anybody else thinks. I'm going to do what I want to do. And I think that you should just do what you want to do. And even if your family, even if your family's like, you should leave them, like, it's not going to end well, and then say it doesn't end well, like, it doesn't mean that you didn't give it your best shot and that you shouldn't have done that, because you might learn really valuable things from trying to work through it. It's so hard because every family is so different and family can be really frustrating, but at the end of the day, like, they should just want what's best for you. So at the end of the day, you should never blame yourself for getting cheated on. I think that's like the most important takeaway, is that it usually isn't about you, and blaming yourself is only going to inflict more pain on yourself, and you don't need that. You don't deserve that, and you can come out of it a lot stronger. And I think like you have to allow the pain to really set in. Like, don't try and push it away, because it is there and it's gonna come out at some point and you're gonna want to be in control of it. So like, allow yourself to cry, allow yourself to be angry, like whatever process it is that you need to go through to let it all out. But realize that like, this will only make you stronger. Like, honestly, it's so fucking cheesy, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It is so 100% true. Being cheated on was one of the best things that happened to me, because I was able to refine who I was and what was important to me, and know that I could stand up for myself and I could walk away from a situation that didn't resonate with me anymore. And like, I didn't know that I was capable of that before. And like, that was so incredible for me to discover. So as much as it really, really, really sucked to get cheated on, like, I am forever grateful for that experience. And do I want it to happen again? No. But I know that, noted. But like, that's the thing, is that I know that I have the skills and I know that I have the strength to walk away from that situation and become even stronger. And I think that that could happen for anybody. Put
your head up high, carry on into the next relationship, and things will get better. Only change for the better, because, I mean, in my situation, I kind of let that get to me and change me in a way that I inflicted pain on other people, and I wish it wasn't that way.
Don't let the person change who you are and make you very skeptical of other people in the future, because it really only perpetuates hurt on yourself. Like, don't give them that power.
Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, download, rate us.
And we love hearing what you guys think about the podcast and just reflecting with us. So always feel free to DM us. You can DM me at Your Girl Neens.
I'm Dayon's Day Off.
And we also have our podcast Instagram at Neens Deens. So yeah, we love hearing your thoughts and just how you guys were able to connect with us. And we'll see you guys next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.